Next one is failure to utilize teacher-developed common formative assessments. Now we know those common formative assessments are designed to do two things. One, of course, tell us which kids are struggling, which ones are excelling. But most importantly, common assessments are designed for us to reflect on improve on our practice, our professional practice, our instructional practice. Common assessments are designed to help us improve our professional practice. Rick mentioned it the other day. Reeve sees common formative assessments as the same, common formative assessments versus summative assessments, the same parallel as a physical versus an autopsy. Talked about that. Both exams are going to tell you what's wrong, but only one's going to give you a chance to do something about it. Common assessments are designed to help us reflect on our practice. The difference between formative assessment and summative assessment: when the cook tastes the soup, that's formative assessment. When the customer tastes the soup, that's summative assessment. And I find teams struggle most with using those two arms. The arms we use most in schools that I work with, we figure out which kids got it, which kids didn't, sort and select and figure out the next step. And we stop there. You've been doing that since the beginning of time. You can look at an assessment and tell us which kids got it and which kids didn't in your sleep. Multitasking, in a car, on a bus, on a train, on a plane. The second leveraging arm is using it for reflective improvement in our instructional practice, figuring out whose instruction is more effective than others in this area and with these students. I look back now and wish I had this when I was a brand new teacher. But this wasn't even our paradigm to ever let data facilitate the question of improvement. When I was a fourth grade teacher my first year, my teammates warned me. They said, listen, moving from third to fourth grade is tough. Kids really get their minds blown with fractions. You got to watch that fractions unit. Don't get frustrated. Don't beat yourself up if the kids don't get it the first time around. I said, okay, and I was ready. I taught those mixed fractions that year, 1992, first year teacher, first year. You ever see when the light comes on with kids and they get it, that look? I was teaching those mixed fractions and it was like the milk of knowledge was just pouring all over them. They were getting everything I was saying. I was dealing, baby. If there was a baseball card for rookie of the, new fourth grade teachers teaching fractions in 1992, I would have been on a baseball card that year. For those mixed fractions, boy, I tell you, I got my George Jefferson walk going that year just like this, about those mixed fractions. And then I took all those lessons and activities, I gathered them up carefully, put them in a manila folder, put them in my tall file. Oh, wait, I laminated the folder first. You get a lesson like you got to laminate that folder first, right? You laminate the folder first, put it in my tall file cabinet for next year. Next year comes, new group of kids, right? It's fractions time. I don't even take my eyes off the kids, like I got you. I take out that same lesson, same scope and sequence, same opening activities, same hands-on activities, same homework, same guided practice, same classroom practice, same cooperative learning activities, same everything, same delivery, same pace. I'm dealing. Bouncing off the kids' heads like Teflon. Is it just me? Who's been there? Same everything the next year, kids are not getting it. But I'm not in a PLC. Collaboration is not part of our system. We have a focus on teaching, not a focus on learning. The focus was get through Unit 8 by May. It just wasn't our paradigm. And so, but with love in my heart, and I wanted to change the world, and I love teaching, I did what we all do. I retaught the next day. I go back and I reteach. And didn't get much better results. Found out two things. One, I taught it the best way I could that first time around. You ever pull your pockets inside out like this? You say, I got nothing else, I got nothing else, I got nothing else. I taught it the best way I could that first time. Second thing I learned is louder and slower is not reteaching. So what was I left to do? No place in my paradigm did it ever say, hey, sit down with your teammates on a weekly basis and talk about how you might improve your instruction to meet the needs of this group of kids. That just wasn't our paradigm. It may have happened by accident every once in a while, but we had no system in place. Especially because I taught it effectively the year before. especially because I knew it'd be one thing if it was the first time I was teaching it and it crashed and burned. But I had success last year, so you know what happens? What would happen at my school and our team? Eventually kind of, with love in our hearts, we would kind of a little bit sometimes start talking about the kids. Well, you heard about that third grade, right? That's how my teammates will help me feel better. We help each other feel better this way. Well, you know about that third grade that was coming up. You heard about them, didn't you? That third grade that starts out as that kindergarten. I always picture kids in kindergarten walking in like, what? Why are people looking at us like that? I don't know. I'm only 5. Right? So you know that third grade. Well, you know those Williams kids, you had the brother. Well, you know the kids who live on that side of town and the Section 8 apartments, right? You know the homeless kids, the kids from the trailer park, the kids from those apartments, kids from that side of town. You know the kids who speak like that. You know the kids you know those parents. We would start focusing on things outside our control, not understanding that the answers were in the room. But I had no system like that, had no system. Now, I got a team of 4. I bring that assessment data to the table. I'm human. I'm going to start ranting and raving about last year's kids and how they knew it. And then one of my teammates is going to say, oh, okay, you had your 2 minutes to rant. Let's get down to it. We look at data together, and I see 2 of my teammates' kids knocked it out of the park. So right there's an opportunity for me to reflect on my professional practice. How about that? That's an awesome opportunity. There's a price, though. Vulnerability-based trust, administrators helping to create a safe environment, administrators expecting us to collaborate as opposed to encouraging us or inviting us to. And it's not easy putting data on the table and looking at it through the lens of instructional practice and not the kids. But that's a powerful process. And that process doesn't wait for me to ask for help. The data says, ask for help. And then how about this? The kids that didn't get it in my class, maybe we'll do a flexible regrouping model, and those 12 kids get farmed out to my 2 teammates who are teaching it more effectively to this group of kids. That's a powerful process. What we have to be careful of is that we don't make it mean good teacher, bad teacher, because that's not what it is. What I see it as is common assessment data will tell us if we need a tool or a skill. We either need all I needed that year was a tool. I could obviously deliver the instruction, but I needed a tool to reach this group of kids. But sometimes, you know what, we have to be honest. We're not all great at teaching everything. Sometimes we need a skill. If I were teaching writing, my wife loves to teach. She teaches creative writing. She could teach, if you gave her some food coloring and like tree branches, the kids would come out brilliant writers. But me, creative writing feels mechanical. I can't get my head wrapped around it. I'm the guy at the board meeting fighting for the writing textbook. And I'm going to start on page 1. We will write today. Children, take out a sheet of paper and a pencil. Let us begin. That's how I teach creative writing. So I know I'm going to need a skill from my team. Does that make sense? So you want to walk away knowing that common assessments are about improving our professional practice, just not about gathering a bunch of grades.